Ladies and gentlemen, let me start by saying this talent is just the starting point. Dreams, everyone has them, but what separates those who wish from those who become is one word: consistency. Now, I'm not here to sugarcoat it. Forcing yourself to be consistent is not easy, it's messy. It's waking up when you don't want to, showing up when nobody's clapping, working when you're exhausted, and doing it all again tomorrow and the day after that. You see, the world doesn't care how you feel, it cares what you do. The spotlight doesn't find you on your best day, it finds you on the day you show up again and again, even when nobody's watching. Success doesn't come from one big break. It comes from the 1,000 quiet choices you make, saying yes to discipline, saying no to excuses, putting in the work when it's boring, when it's hard, when it's unfair. That's the grind. And if you want to rise, you have to force yourself to be consistent. Not because it's glamorous, but because greatness demands it. I'm not saying you won't fail. You will. You'll question yourself. You'll wonder if it's worth it. You'll want to quit. But here's the truth. You can't out-dream inconsistency. You can only outwork it. Talent and dreams are just the beginning. It's consistent effort that turns potential into reality. This truth is easy to hear, but hard to live. So many people walk around with brilliant ideas, untapped potential, and the desire to become more. But few follow through. Why? Because showing up every day with the same fire, the same discipline, and the same purpose is harder than it looks. People romanticize success. They picture the big moments, the awards, the applause, the spotlight. What they don't see is the repetition, the rejection, the routine, and that's where the real work lies. It's tempting to believe that talent alone is enough, that being gifted gives you a head start. And yes, it can open a door or two, but if you don't keep showing up, that door slams shut. The world is full of people who were talented but never followed through. It's full of people who started strong, only to lose steam when the novelty wore off. The difference between them and the ones who rise: consistency, consistent effort, consistent action, and a consistent belief in the vision, even when the results don't come immediately. When you start something new, whether it's a career, a business, a passion project, it's exciting. You feel motivated, everything feels possible, but that motivation, it fades, that excitement, it gets tested. Life throws things at you: fatigue, distraction, doubt, failure. And in those moments, you have two choices: to step back and wait until it feels good again, or to push forward, regardless of how you feel. That's where consistency becomes a force, not something passive, not something accidental, but something you choose. You force yourself to do the work even when your emotions scream otherwise. That's the thing nobody tells you about success. It's not built in grand gestures. It's built in small, repeated steps. A single workout doesn't transform your body. A single audition doesn't make your career. A single idea doesn't build a business, but doing the work day in and day out stacks up, it compounds, it creates momentum, and eventually that momentum turns into something powerful. People often wait for motivation to strike before they act, but if you rely on motivation, you'll be stuck in an endless loop of starting and stopping. Motivation is a mood, it comes and goes. Discipline, on the other hand, is a choice. And consistency is its most powerful expression. When you force yourself to be consistent, you stop negotiating with your feelings. You don't ask yourself, do I feel like it today? You just do it. That's where transformation begins. And no, it won't always be fun. Some days will feel like a grind. Some days you'll feel like nothing's working. But those are the days that count the most, because anybody can show up when it's easy. It's when you show up during the hard times that you prove to yourself and to the world who you really are. Consistency builds trust, not just with others, but with yourself. It tells you, I can count on me. That trust becomes the foundation for everything else. When you trust yourself to keep going, you don't fear challenges, you don't fear failure. You've trained your mind and body to keep showing up, and when you do that long enough, the results take care of themselves. What's also important to understand is that consistency isn't about perfection. You don't have to be flawless every day. You just have to stay in motion. You don't need to win every battle. You just need to keep fighting. If you fall, you get back up. If you miss a day, you come back the next day. That's what matters. You keep going, because giving up for a moment doesn't mean giving up forever, unless you let it. It's easy to envy people who have made it. But most of the time, what you're really envying isn't their talent, it's their endurance, their ability to keep showing up long after the applause fades, long after the high wears off. They've trained themselves to stick with the process. That's not luck, that's consistency. The truth is, very few people are willing to be consistent. That's what makes it so powerful. When you develop this trait, you automatically rise above most of the crowd. Not because you're better, but because you're more committed, because you understand that potential is meaningless without persistence, because you're not just chasing the outcome, you're becoming the kind of person who earns it. So yes, have talent, yes, dream big, but never forget that consistency is what breathes life into those dreams. Every day you show up, you're casting a vote for the kind of person you want to be, and over time, those votes add up. They shape your character, they create your future, they prove that what you start you can finish, and that's a power no one can take from you. There's something powerful about showing up, especially when it's hard. When the excitement wears off, when the goal feels distant, when nobody's cheering for you, and there's no obvious reward waiting at the end of the day, that's when showing up means the most. Because let's be honest, anyone can be consistent when it's easy. Anyone can commit when things are going their way, but the real strength, the real courage, lies in pushing forward when it feels like everything inside you wants to pull back. There will be days when your body is tired, when your mind is loud with self-doubt, when the world feels indifferent to your effort. And it's in those exact moments that the decision to show up becomes the difference between being average and becoming exceptional. You have to remember that greatness doesn't come from comfort. It grows in discomfort, it's shaped in resistance, and if you can force yourself to show up in the face of that resistance, you're already winning. People assume that those who succeed have it easier somehow. More motivation, more support, more luck. But what most don't realize is that success often belongs to those who are willing to act without any of that. It belongs to the ones who get up on the days they don't want to, who go to the gym with sore muscles, who rehearse the lines when they've been rejected a dozen times, who study when their friends are out, who stay focused even when life tries to pull them in every direction. There's nothing glamorous about consistency in the hard times. It's quiet, it's lonely, and often it feels thankless. You won't get instant feedback. You won't see progress every day. You might even question if any of it matters, but that's the trap, the belief that if results don't show up instantly, your effort is wasted. That couldn't be further from the truth. Every time you show up when it's hard, you build something inside of you that no one can see. Yet, you're laying down layers of mental toughness, you're training your willpower, you're turning discipline into identity. This isn't about being superhuman. It's about being committed. There's a huge difference. You don't need to feel like it. You don't need to wait for the stars to align. You just need to be the person who shows up, who decides that their goals are non-negotiable, who keeps the promise they made to themselves, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's raining, even when they're heartbroken or exhausted or scared. Because those are the moments that test whether you truly mean it when you say, I want this. Showing up when it's hard doesn't mean ignoring your pain. It doesn't mean pretending you're fine. It means acting in spite of it. It means making the hard choice over the easy one. It means recognizing that discipline isn't punishment, it's love, it's respect for the version of you that you're working to become. That future version of you is watching. Every decision you make is shaping them, and they're counting on you not to give up. The truth is, consistency isn't built in the days when everything flows. It's built in the struggle. It's built in the moments when you'd rather quit. That's when your commitment is tested. That's when your character is forged. You might not see it now, but one day you'll look back and realize that those tough days, the days you didn't want to show up but did, those were the days that made you. The habit of showing up creates trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in the process. You begin to realize that you can depend on your own follow-through, that you're not controlled by your emotions or the weather or the opinions of others. You're steady, you're solid, and people notice. Opportunities find people who are dependable. Growth finds people who refuse to back down when it's inconvenient. Showing up when it's hard rewires your brain. It teaches you that discomfort isn't dangerous, that failure isn't fatal, that struggle isn't a sign to stop, it's a signal to keep going, to lean in, to fight for your dream instead of waiting for the perfect mood to chase it. Because that perfect moment, it may never come, but this one, the hard one you're in right now, that's real, that's where champions are made. No one will do it for you. No one will show up for you when it matters most. That's your job, your responsibility, your gift to your future self. It's not about being fearless. It's about being brave enough to keep going even when fear is riding shotgun. You might not feel strong in the moment, but the act of showing up anyway, that's strength. That's courage, that's power. So when the alarm goes off and your bed feels warm and your mind says, skip today, remind yourself why you started. When the rejection email lands and your confidence shakes, remind yourself what you're building. When the doubts creep in and tell you you're not good enough, remind yourself that showing up is your answer every time, especially when it's hard, because that's what separates the dreamers from the doers. And you didn't come this far just to dream. We live in a world full of people with good intentions, people who have brilliant ideas, people who say they want to start a business, write a book, change their life. They talk about it, plan it, imagine it, but they never take that first step, or they take 1 or 2 steps and stop, and then they wonder why nothing's changing. The answer is simple. Intentions don't move the needle. Actions do. The world doesn't reward what you meant to do. It doesn't hand out prizes for potential. It responds to what you actually do over and over again. It's easy to say, I'm going to. It sounds good. It makes us feel like we're on our way, but too many people live their whole lives stuck in the land of almost started, almost committed, almost followed through. The harsh truth, nobody sees your intentions. They only see your actions, and that's not unfair, it's reality. You're not measured by your plans, you're measured by your habits, your output, your consistency. There's something very comforting about intentions. They make you feel like you're doing something, even when you're standing still. But intentions without action are like writing a check you never cash. The promise is there, but the value, it doesn't exist until you do something with it. You can intend to work hard. You can intend to get in shape. You can intend to take that risk, make that change, show up for yourself. But none of it counts until it becomes real. Until it becomes a decision you act on, not just something you think about. The difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck isn't necessarily talent or intelligence or luck. It's action. It's forward motion. It's doing the thing again and again, especially when it's uncomfortable. The people who rise are the ones who treat action like oxygen, who understand that results don't come from sitting around and visualizing success. They come from the willingness to get up, get moving, and get uncomfortable. The world notices when you move. It notices when you're consistent. That's when the opportunities come. not when you're waiting for the perfect moment, not when you're researching endlessly, trying to make sure every little detail is perfect before you begin. The people who are rewarded are the ones who start, who risk, who build momentum by doing. They know that progress doesn't have to be huge every day. It just has to be real, and yes, taking action is scary. Because the moment you move, you expose yourself to the possibility of failure. You can't fail at an idea that lives in your head, but once you bring it into the world, once you try, speak, apply, build, then it becomes vulnerable. That's why people hide behind intentions. It's safer, it's cleaner, but the reality is you're not protecting yourself when you do that. You're limiting yourself. You have to be willing to put something on the line. To trade the comfort of someday for the messiness of now, because waiting won't protect you. Over-planning won't guarantee success. Only action will. That's the currency the world understands, not what you meant to do. Not what you hoped for, not what you almost finished, just what you did. Even failure is more valuable than inaction. Why? Because when you fail, you learn, you gather experience, you adapt, you grow. But when you stay still, you gain nothing. You remain stuck. Paralysis becomes your comfort zone, and before you know it, weeks, months, even years have passed, and you're still in the same place, all because you let your intentions speak louder than your actions. There's a myth that you need to feel ready before you act. That's one of the biggest lies holding people back. Readiness isn't a feeling, it's a decision. You decide to be ready when you move, when you commit. When you take the first step and let everything else fall into place as you go, you'll never have all the answers, you'll never feel 100% confident, but if you wait for certainty, you'll wait forever. At some point, you have to act, because action creates clarity, action builds confidence, action proves to you, and to the world, that you mean what you say. You don't have to be loud about your goals. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. Let your actions speak. Let your consistency tell the story. The quiet effort, the daily grind, the decisions you make when no one's watching. That is what changes your life. Not what you post about, not what you tell people, but what you do behind closed doors. The choices you make when motivation is gone and all that's left is discipline. So ask yourself, what have you done today that moves you closer to where you want to be? Not what you thought about, not what you wrote down, but what you actually did. Because that's the only thing that counts. The world isn't keeping score of your plans. It's watching your performance. Not because it's judgmental, but because action is what signals seriousness. That's how people trust you. That's how results find you. In the end, you don't build a legacy by thinking about what you could do. You build it by showing up, by acting, by doing what needs to be done even when it's hard, even when it's scary, even when no one is watching. That's the difference between wishing and winning, between hoping and achieving. Intention starts the journey, but only action gets you there. We often imagine success as this grand lie, faltering moment, a breakthrough, a big win, the applause, the celebration. That one big scene where everything changes. But that's a lie we've been sold. The truth is far less glamorous and far more powerful. Success is not built in a moment. It's built in the small, quiet, repeated choices you make every single day. It's not the leap, it's the steps. Not the highlight, it's the grind. Every choice you make matters. The decision to wake up on time, the decision to train, study, read, practice, or push through discomfort, the decision to be better today than you were yesterday. Those choices don't make headlines. They don't earn you praise in the moment, but they build a foundation under your feet, a foundation that one day becomes unshakable. You don't become successful overnight. You become successful by choosing excellence in moments that seem ordinary. Think about it. One workout won't change your body. One day of discipline won't build your legacy. One smart decision won't rewrite your life. But do it over and over, again and again. That's when things begin to shift. The small choices that seem insignificant on their own are the very building blocks of greatness. What seems small today becomes massive when repeated. That's the compound effect. That's how you grow. But here's what's tricky. Those small choices are also the easiest to dismiss. It's easy to say, it's just one skipped day, just one cheat meal, just one lazy choice. And maybe it is. Maybe one bad decision won't ruin you, but it sets a pattern, and patterns become habits, and habits shape identity. Before you know it, one skipped day becomes two, becomes a week, becomes a lifestyle. That's how we fall off quietly, gradually, in the small decisions we stop noticing. Success works the same way in reverse. You want to be consistent, start with one act of discipline, then repeat it tomorrow. You want to get stronger, start with one rep, one set, one workout, then show up again. You want to create something meaningful, write one line, draw one sketch, make one call, then keep going. It's not the size of the step that matters. It's the fact that you take it, no matter how small it is. The people you admire, who have built powerful careers, who live with purpose, who perform at a high level, they don't do magical things. They do ordinary things with extraordinary consistency. They make decisions that align with their goals, even when no one is watching. They choose the long-term win over the short-term thrill. They've trained themselves to honor their small daily commitments as if they're sacred, and over time, that's what separates them. It takes maturity to respect small beginnings. To trust that your tiny actions matter, even when they don't produce immediate results. Because we live in a world that celebrates quick wins and viral success. But those stories are misleading. They show you the moment someone arrives, but not the years it took them to get there. Not the quiet hours of effort, not the nights they wanted to quit, not the thousands of little choices they made to stay on track. That's what you have to understand. There is no shortcut. There is no hack that replaces hard, focused, repetitive effort. You don't stumble into success. You build it brick by brick, and every brick is a decision to try to learn to show up, to push past the noise and the distractions. And the more of those bricks you lay down, the stronger your structure becomes. And no, it won't always feel rewarding. Most of the time, it'll feel boring. You won't see progress fast enough. You'll feel like nothing is happening. You'll question whether your work is even making a difference. But that's the test. Can you keep showing up when it's dull? Can you keep choosing the right thing when no one's clapping? Because that's where real growth lives. That's where character is built. There's power in the routine, power in the repetition. When you commit to small, positive actions every day, you don't just change your outcomes. You change yourself. You rewire your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start becoming someone who does. You stop chasing motivation and start living from discipline. You stop waiting for change and start being the change. And yes, you will mess up. You'll break the routine. You'll make poor choices sometimes. But that doesn't erase your progress. What matters is how you respond. Will you course correct? Will you get back on track? Will you return to the small, repeated actions that move you forward? That's what defines your future. Not whether you fall, but whether you rise and recommit. So don't underestimate your daily choices. Don't dismiss the quiet moments. That morning you got up instead of sleeping in. That time you kept writing when you wanted to stop. That choice to keep going when no one said thank you. They add up. They always do. And one day you'll look back and realize you didn't just reach your goal. You became the kind of person who never stopped moving toward it. Motivation feels amazing when it's there. It gives you a rush, a fire, that electric moment when you're all in, fully charged, ready to take on anything. But here's the truth. Motivation is temporary. It comes and goes like a wave. Some days it lifts you. Other days it leaves you stranded. And if you rely on motivation alone, you'll stop showing up the moment it fades. That's why discipline matters more. Because discipline is what carries you when motivation disappears. There will be days you don't feel like doing anything, not because you're lazy, not because you don't care, but because you're human. You'll feel tired, overwhelmed, frustrated, doubtful. That's normal. And in those moments, motivation won't save you, but discipline will. Discipline is the quiet force that whispers, "Do it anyway." It doesn't argue, it doesn't need applause, it just gets the job done. We live in a world obsessed with feeling good, with chasing inspiration. But what happens when you wake up uninspired, when your goals feel far away and your energy is low? That's where discipline steps in, not with fireworks, but with focus. Discipline is showing up for yourself without needing a reason. It's honoring the commitment you made long after the excitement has worn off. Motivation might help you start, but only discipline will help you stay. Think about every meaningful result in life: fitness, career, relationships, growth. None of them are built on a single moment of inspiration. They're built on sustained effort, on doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. That's the difference between wishful thinking and real transformation. You can't wait to feel ready every time, because feelings are unpredictable, they're fleeting. You might feel confident today and doubtful tomorrow. But discipline doesn't care how you feel, it cares what you do. And the people who achieve great things aren't necessarily the ones who feel motivated the most. They're the ones who act the most, the ones who keep going. The ones who show up on bad days and average days, not just good ones. Discipline is a decision, a choice you make, not once, but over and over. It's the decision to stick to your plan even when your mood changes. It's the decision to prioritize your future over your present comfort. And yes, it's hard, it requires effort, it requires repetition. It requires reminding yourself why you started, especially when nothing around you is clapping or celebrating. People often wait for the perfect conditions, the right time, the right mindset, the right level of energy. But the truth is, those ideal conditions might never come. And if you're serious about your goals, you have to stop depending on your environment to keep you moving. You have to create your own momentum through discipline. That's how you build consistency. That's how you build trust with yourself. Because when you start doing hard things even when you don't feel like it, something shifts inside you. You begin to realize that you're capable of more than you thought, that your feelings don't control your future. You do, and that's where your power is, in the ability to act beyond emotion, to choose what's right over what's easy. Motivation asks, what do I feel like doing today? Discipline says, what needs to be done regardless? And the more you practice discipline, the more natural it becomes. It turns into identity. You stop needing to negotiate with yourself. You stop relying on hype or energy or emotion. You just do the work. You become someone who follows through, and that kind of person, that kind of mindset, it's unstoppable because it's not built on mood swings. It's built on muscle memory. It's also important to understand that discipline isn't about being harsh. It's not about punishment. It's about self-respect. Discipline says, I believe in my future enough to protect it. It's an act of love, of clarity, of vision. It's choosing your long-term growth over short-term gratification. It's being your own leader, not your own excuse maker. You'll have moments when you stumble, when you miss a day. When you slip, that's okay. Discipline isn't perfection. It's persistence. It's how quickly you return after a fall, how often you remind yourself of your bigger purpose, how well you bounce back without self-pity or drama. Discipline doesn't panic. It recalibrates. It doesn't need applause. It keeps going quietly, purposefully, like clockwork. When you begin to understand this, you stop waiting for motivation to strike. You stop depending on inspiration like it's oxygen. You realize the strongest people in the world aren't the ones who always feel ready. They're the ones who act regardless of readiness. That's the mindset that moves mountains. That's the mindset that endures. In the end, discipline gives you freedom, freedom from inconsistency, freedom from self-doubt, freedom from the emotional roller coaster that comes from chasing motivation. When you're disciplined, you don't need to hope you'll get something done. You know you will. You trust yourself, and that trust, that's priceless. So let others wait for the mood to strike. Let them be slaves to their emotions, to their distractions, to their excuses. You don't have to live like that. You can be the one who chooses differently, who shows up, who builds, who rises. Not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard, because motivation is fleeting. But discipline is forever. Goals are exciting. They give us vision. They give us direction. They give us that rush of possibility, the idea that something better is out there, and we have the power to go after it. And that's great. You need goals. You need dreams. But here's a truth most people never tell you. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. What you do every day will always matter more than what you hope to achieve someday. Everybody sets goals. I want to get fit. I want to be successful. I want to be consistent. That's easy. That's not rare. The problem isn't the goal, it's the lack of structure underneath it. Because a goal without a system is like a destination without a map. You might know where you want to go, but you'll keep getting lost. You'll move in circles. You'll waste time, energy, and motivation. And eventually you'll burn out. You can't just want it. You have to build for it. You have to create habits and routines that keep you locked in, especially when you don't feel inspired. Think of a system as the engine beneath your success. It's the framework that holds you up when things get messy. Because they will get messy, life doesn't care about your goals. Life will distract you, test you, slow you down, and in those moments, your system is what saves you. Let's say your goal is to be healthy. That's beautiful, but what's your system? If you haven't built a routine of sleep, of nutrition, of movement, your goal stays a dream. You can tell everyone about it, write it down, make a vision board. But when that first wave of stress hits, when life gets busy, you'll skip workouts, you'll skip meals, you'll fall back to your baseline, the system you actually live by, not the one you imagined, the one you built. You don't stay consistent by making bigger goals. You stay consistent by simplifying your systems. The smaller and clearer your steps, the more automatic they become. And that's when real growth begins, when your success doesn't rely on willpower, but on rhythm. You don't have to think about brushing your teeth. You don't need motivation to drive to work. Those are systems, they're habits now, and your goals need to become the same way. This is why some people with massive talent never go anywhere and why others with average skills absolutely soar. Talent can't save you if your systems are broken. Passion can't save you if your habits are inconsistent. But if you build solid systems, you can outlast the talented. You can outperform the gifted. You don't need to be extraordinary, you need to be organized. What does that look like in real life? It's blocking time for what matters. It's turning your phone off when you're working. It's writing when you said you would write. It's making that call, showing up for the meeting, sending the pitch, doing the work whether you feel like it or not. Your goals won't always motivate you, but your system will remind you, this is what we do. And when your system is dialed in, something powerful happens. You don't rely on emotion anymore. You don't spend energy trying to figure out what to do. The decision is already made. The plan is already set. You just follow it, and every time you follow through, you build self-trust. You start to believe in yourself, not because of how loud your dreams are, but because of how quietly consistent your actions are. You know what ruins most goals, all or nothing thinking. If I can't go to the gym for an hour, I won't go at all. If I missed one writing session, the week is ruined. That mindset is toxic. It's fragile. Strong systems aren't built on perfection, they're built on flexibility. If your system can't handle a bad day, it's not strong enough. Your habits should adapt without falling apart. They should bend, not break. Let's also be honest. Systems are not sexy, they're not exciting. They don't give you that high of dreaming big, but they work. They do the boring, necessary, repetitive work that success requires. Nobody claps for a spreadsheet. No one cheers for a 30-minute walk or a Sunday prep session. But those quiet systems, they win. Over time, they always win. So look at your life. Where do you want to go? And more importantly, what are your systems doing to get you there? Are they supporting your goals or silently sabotaging them? Do your habits make success easier or harder? Are you counting on inspiration or building actual momentum? You don't have to be the most driven person in the world. You just have to become the kind of person who designs a structure that makes success a default, not a fight. Because structure beats stress, rhythm beats motivation, and repetition, quiet, unglamorous repetition, is what shapes greatness. This is how the real ones do it. The performers, the creators, the leaders, they don't depend on how they feel. They depend on what they've built. They're not trying to climb a mountain with nothing but hope. They bring a ladder, they bring a process, they bring a system, and that's why they reach the top again and again and again.